Hello and welcome. I'm Nick
I'm Jackson.
from Top Notch Sports. And today we're going to go over the Kansas City Chiefs 2023 NFL mock draft. Old Jay Keith filled in for our Chiefs GM that left us. But old Jay Keith, man, one of the original founding fathers of this channel. How you doing today?
I know we're doing pretty great. NFL draft coming up in just a couple days in my hometown, and I'm happy to say I'm going to be in attendance, and hopefully it's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And again, I knew who to reach out to as soon as there was an issue with the Chiefs guy. Old Jay Keith knows his team better than anyone. Now, again, Kansas City Chiefs news, I'll reach out to you. Kansas City Royals news, never again. Never again. I ended up losing the ERA too, so that did kill me. But hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
He's back on the bump today if you want to go get him.
Nope, I'm good. He'll be out in their free agency. I don't think anyone's taking him for a while, but hey, we'll see what happens. All right, so that's that. Before we do anything, how was your experience in the war room? I mean, you did get kind of thrusted in there last second. What did you think of the whole experience?
I thought it was pretty good. I think the thing went pretty smoothly towards until everyone's thing started freezing up. It seemed like. There was the one round that went super slow, but other than that, I felt like it went pretty smoothly. I had a good experience with it.
Good, good. And again, now without doing any spoilers here, how did you, how did your board fall? Did it fall kind of like you wanted it to, or did you kind of miss on some guys, or what happened there?
I would say there was definitely one pick where I feel like I definitely missed out on a guy. But other than that, I kind of just let the board fall where it needed to go, and I just went where the Chiefs were going to go pick up depth at positions. Because the Chiefs kind of put themselves in a situation where they had a bunch of needs going into the offseason, but they kind of just kept jabbing at some of those needs. So they go into the draft where they can kind of take the best player available at positions of need.
Absolutely. So, I mean, again, and you filled in a lot of positions of needs when I just kind of briefed it over a little bit ago. And we're going to go into that right now. So, without further ado, let's hop into our slide. 180. 180, set. All right, let's start with these two. Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes. What do you got to say about these two fellas?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that these two are top two in coaching and quarterback duos behind Brady and Belichick, in my opinion. We got 2 Super Bowl rings, looking for a third, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 5 straight AFC Championship appearances since Pat Mahomes has taken over. Seems like they're a pretty good duo.
Absolutely. I mean, again, they're probably the most dynamic duo in the National Football League right now. Honestly, I really can't even think of a close set. I mean, they've done it for so long. I mean, people might say, oh, start to say Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow, but they haven't gotten it done, Sean McDermott and Josh Allen haven't gotten it done. So I can go on and on. I mean, the only team, you got Sirianni and Hurts, but again, they haven't gotten it done. So let me ask you, I mean, who do you think is the closest front runner to trying to take you guys down?
Personally, I would say Cincinnati. I think Joe Burrow is just that guy. He's cool, calm, collective. He's a great pocket passer. And then Zach Taylor, I'm not really as high on Zach Taylor as a head coach, but I think he's good for Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow's got a good relationship with him. But you know what all those guys have in common? Those coaches and quarterbacks, they've all lost to the Chiefs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it's tough to keep up. Everyone wants to find the next team. Everyone wants to say, oh, we're going to get the next dynasty, this, that, and the other thing. No one can take down the Chiefs yet. So until you can do that, there's no dynasty. The Chiefs have done it twice now. Other teams have gotten there. The Bengals have consistently been close. The Bills have consistently been close. But see, key word here is consistently been close. Not a single team has been able to, do what the Chiefs have done in the last, what would you say, 5 years now, 5, 6 years?
Yeah, since 2018, since Mahomes has taken over the job. Yep.
So, I mean, it's been absolutely ridiculous. And again, I mean, whenever this guy, Andy Reid, has a vision, it usually turns out to be pretty dang solid for this football team. So that's that. That's enough with these two. Now let's look at the actual depth chart. Oh, before we do that, I'm sorry. We got my grade scale. Okay, my grade scale. So real fast, I'm going to explain this to you. We grade you off of 4 things: your trade, your drafting, your talent, the need. Trading mean how, the trades that you made, which I know you actually didn't make any, but the other Chiefs guy did. So I'll evaluate that. Drafting, the overall draft as a whole between trading, talent, and filling in the needs. Talent wise, the talent that you acquired. And last but not least, whether or not it was a need fit. One thing I want to mention, very few people have earned anywhere in the A's. Most people get between the B's. So most likely you're going to fall somewhere in between there. The other thing is this: our grade scale is definitely different than most people's grade scale. A C plus for us is a 50 as a grade. So if 50 looks horrible, promote the C plus. Another thing I want to mention, like a B plus. B plus is a 75. In real life, a B plus is an 88, 89. 75 looks ugly, but just know if you earn a 75, you'll honestly get a B plus. So I know these numbers look weird, but does that make sense to you?
Absolutely makes 100% sense coming from you, Nick.
Absolutely, Jackson. And again, I would wish it no other way possible. All right. Now, let's look at the depth chart. Here we are, the actual depth chart. Okay. The Kansas City Chiefs. This is what they're walking into right now on Thursday with. Let me ask you, where are the weaknesses here? What do you think this team can do? And where are the strengths?
Um, well, the strengths, personally, I would say I really like how the offensive line's coming. I like the addition of Jawan Taylor a lot. I thought he played really good with Jacksonville down the stretch, and we got him way cheaper than what we got Orlando Brown for. And you can put him at right tackle if you really wanted to. If you go out and get, a left tackle in the draft and you want to start him at left tackle, or you could start him at left tackle and then put the pressure off a potential rookie offensive tackle and put him at right tackle. So I like the move of Jawan Taylor a lot. The weaknesses I would say is definitely maybe safety and the defensive line, just because depth in the defensive line is kind of hurting. They did bring back Derek Nottie on a 1-year deal and Tershawn Wharton on a 1-year deal. They lost Colin Saunders, which was a big blow in my opinion. He's a great player. Chris Jones after this season, I'm pretty sure, 90% sure he's going to be due for a contract. And then they lost Frank Clark in the offseason as well. They cut him. But they did bring in Charles Omenihu, which I think was a pretty good depth piece as well. Um, Other than that, we did lose Juan Thornhill, so that is a big blow to the safety department. But I say that's where the big weaknesses here is maybe in the secondary and more importantly in the safeties.
Yeah, and like I said, looking at the safeties, I mean, how Justin Reed and Brian Cook. I mean, Brian Cook was a rookie last year, correct?
Yeah, he was a rookie.
How did he do when he was in there? All right, or
He definitely drew a lot of penalties. He was more of a special teams player, but kind of towards down the stretch, he did get a lot more looks back there with Reed and Thornhill.
yeah.
I think he definitely could develop and be a pretty solid player, but we just don't know what he's like fully capable of doing right now.
Absolutely. And again, that's fair criticism. And that's why you're saying you might need to add some, depth at that position for sure. But ultimately, offense, as always, looks very solid. Defense looks pretty dang good too. Like you mentioned, the weaknesses maybe at the defensive line, and the safety and cornerback positions. But again, those are 3 positions that you can shore up in probably a draft class. So that's the roster here. Now we're gonna hop into the moves that you made as a general manager. All right. So before we do anything, let's look at the trade that was made before you came in. The other Chiefs GM, so you kind of got thrown into a intern role almost very quickly. And you didn't have much time to prepare at all. I think you had time to prepare at the 27th overall pick. So, before we got to the 27th overall pick, there was a trade by the other Chiefs GM. He traded the 31st and the 217 for the 27th overall pick. Now, I know you didn't make this move, but what do you think about this move?
I mean, I think the Chiefs trading up in real life is a very, very high possibility. I think it's going to happen. I think they will trade up. Trade up to 27. I like it. If you're picking at 31, you probably got 20 to 22 first round players on your board if you're the Chiefs. And at 31, most of them are going to be gone, if not all of them. So I like the move up to 4 spots. If like your 1 or 2 guys that you have a first round grade on is still there, you go up, move up 4 spots, and go get them. So I think it's a great move for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, in reality, I mean, you look at this trade, you move up 4 spots and you give away a 6th round pick. I mean, to me, 4 spots in the first round, I feel like you guys actually did a really good job here. So again, that was not a bad deal for you guys at all. Now, we go to the draft. Guys in blue are guys that were your unoriginal picks. Guys in purple are your original picks. So again, you move up 4 spots as unoriginal. You guys go out and you make the first selection. Broderick Jones. What do you think about him, and how do you think he'll play a role in the offense?
Look, Broderick Jones is a beast, man. He's 6'5", 311. He's got great arms. Um, I think if they did bring him in, they would start him out at right tackle just because I think you just got to keep the pressure load off him. You know, he's not protecting the blind side of the best quarterback in the league. It takes a lot of pressure off him. I was really surprised he was there at 27. I actually had no idea. I had to get told in the comment section that he was there. So was not expecting him to be there, but I jumped on the opportunity to grab him. It's a beast offensive tackle. And I think after a couple years in the league, he could be easily one of the best tackles in the league.
Absolutely. I mean, again, he's a guy that, I've had a little bit ranked a little bit lower to start, but he's probably going to skyrocket my final rankings come Thursday. Probably definitely in my top 5 of offensive tackles, and you got him all the way at 27. So that's pretty dang good value. The talent is definitely somewhat there with him too. Like you said, 6'5", 311, 34-inch arms, really good at anchoring down. The only issue I saw with him was I didn't see him flush out the defender around the quarterback. But again, he kind of reminded me a lot of Peter Skoronski, which again is my top tier offensive tackle in this year's draft class. And you got this guy at 27. So again, great value there. Let's go to the next guy, Derek Hall. What do you think about him?
This was the pick where I was kind of in between on a bunch of people, and kind of the board led me to Derek Hall. Derek Hall is really good speed rusher, ran 4.55 at the combine, so he's got really good speed. I think that plays to his advantage right away, especially if they rotate him correctly, where he's coming in at full strength and able to just rush the passer as quickly as he can. So I think if they got Derek Hall, he would be pretty successful his rookie season. George Karlaftis on the other side would take a lot of pressure off of him. And yeah, that's what I got about him. Derek Hall, originally this pick was going to be Antonio Johnson, and then it was going to be Keone White, and then it was going to be Will McDonald. I ended up on Derek Hall, which I was totally fine with. It was between safety and edge rusher for me. But Derek Hall, I think after a good couple seasons in the league, he could be a pretty solid player.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Derek Hall. So last year, my 5th-ranked edge rusher was a guy named George Karlaftis. And you guys got him in the 2nd round, correct?
First round.
First round. I'm sorry. Yeah, you got him in the 1st round. And I thought that was a hell of a pick. This year, you go out and you bring in Derek Hall, an edge rusher, my 5th-ranked edge rusher again. And I feel like you got this guy at great value again. I mean, he's a very raw prospect, 6'2", 239, 34-inch reach. But boy, am I excited what he can do. He is a guy that I thought that would fall down the board, but I feel like if a team's willing to give this guy a shot, this may be, one of the best edge rushers in this draft class. He has a variety of moves. He does not quit and continues to fight on, the pass rush. To me, he's a guy that I really love to see. And I think that, again, if the Chiefs truly take this guy and give him an opportunity, I think he could be an awesome dynamic duo with George Karlaftis on the opposite side. George Karlaftis is more power. George Karlaftis kind of reminds me of like Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. Derek Hall is kind of like a more of a way finesse, quick guy that has a ton of potential. And I'll tell you something, he plays physical and he plays nasty. I like the way he plays. And again, I think this would be a great pick for the Chiefs. All right, cornerback Tyrique Stevenson. What do you think that does for the Chiefs?
I was not expecting him to be there at this pick. I honestly think this guy could go really early, day 2 in the 2nd round. So top of the third or middle of the 3rd round here, I think. I was not expecting him to be there, so I jumped on that. Cornerback is always kind of a need for the Chiefs. You can't have too many corners. Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams last year were late round rookies that were performed pretty solid down the stretch, especially Jalen Watson in the playoffs. But I think it doesn't hurt to go get more size and speed on the outside. And Tyreek Stevenson, I really like his man coverage ability. And I think after maybe a couple games where he's just chilling out and playing a more light role, that he could get more and more roles on the outside and be a really good man corner for him.
Absolutely. And again, Tyreek Stevenson's a guy that, I mean, like you said, 6 foot, 198, ran a 4.45 540. So he has that pretty average speed right there, at 6 foot tall. He's another one of the guys that I said that has potential. And I mentioned in his notes, this was after I watched like 27 corners. I mentioned this. And again, he wasn't my highest ranked corner, but I make this clear in my notes. There has not been a single bad guy I scouted. Like everyone that I scouted up to him too have been like really solid. And Stevenson has the ability to be one of the best if coached properly. It's a very tight race. He plays press coverage and drives back on the football. He does a good job deflecting passes and has a great burst of acceleration to knock out passes or make deflections. He is not afraid to tackle either, and he's willing to come up and make a hit. So my thing about Tyreek Stevenson is this. He's a guy that, again, you're going in a system with one of the best defensive coordinators in the history of football, Steve Spagnuolo. And again, I mean, honestly, look, L'Jarius Sneed's pretty dang good in that system. Who else? Who's your number one again? I forget who the hell it is.
Oh, they got Trent McDuffie.
Trent McDuffie from last year. So, and he looked pretty good last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked really good once he came back from injury.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, you bring in another guy, I'm sure that he can mold Stevenson into being a really good player. And, it is what it is. So, again, this is a guy that could probably step in year one in a limited role and play decent. I'll let you sum up the last three guys quickly. Defensive tackle, Jacqueline Roy, wide receiver, Dante Demas Jr., and quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. What do you think about those three?
Well, Jaquelin Roy was basically just a depth pick. Chiefs defensive tackles, if you go look like the contracts, are not long. I think after 2 years, we have no defensive tackles on their roster. So that was basically just, so we have, a guy there so we don't have to go out and spend money later to go get a guy. Dante Demas, I like Dante Demas a lot, man. He's fast. He's got good size. I think he's got pretty good hands, too. I think in the fourth round is a great pick for the Chiefs. He's sitting, you're catching passes from Pat Mahomes. You're learning from Kadarius Toney, and you're learning from Andy Reid especially. So I think that's a great pick for him. And then Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I'm a big fan of this guy for some reason. Staying up late watching those UCLA football games. I was just seeing this guy making Pat Mahomes-esque plays for some reason. So I feel like what better guy to go sit behind Pat Mahomes than it's some guy that kind of like plays like Pat Mahomes a little bit. Obviously, he's not Pat Mahomes. That was kind of like my reasoning behind that pick as well. The Chiefs also don't need a quarterback as badly because they did just pick up Blaine Gabbert, but that was after this draft happened. But I still think there's a good chance they do pick up a quarterback in this draft.
And again, like you said, I mean, of course, all right, everyone, look, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not going to take Pat Mahomes' job, but God forbid he ever goes down. This is a really good pick for a guy that could learn the system of Andy Reid's and, Reid can develop him into being one of the, best backups, young backups in the National Football League. And hey, who knows? I mean, there have been some backups that have been, developed before, and they ultimately are traded for a decent, value. So who knows? Maybe you can get this guy in the fifth round, and next thing you know, Andy Reid, trades him for a fourth or a third if he turns out to be really good in camp, or not. I mean, a year or two down the line. Not only that, too, God forbid Mahomes goes down. I have the most confidence in the world in Andy Reid developing a young quarterback, and making him very good and be able to fill in that role. God forbid, Pat Mahomes doesn't go down. So I like to pick there too. And like you said, Dante Demas, 6'2", 212, ran a 4.5 740. Big guy, great burst of acceleration, does a great job, tracking down deep balls, can take a slant pass to the house. This is a guy that it reminded me of Denzel Mims, who I was a huge fan of coming out of the draft. But unfortunately for Denzel Mims, never really panned out. All right, that's enough with here. Now let's look at your roster that you built. Here it is here. Jackson's GM moves, okay? So guys in that light blue color are guys that you drafted. Let me know what you think about this roster with the moves that you made. What do you think, do you still have possible weaknesses? Where are you still a little bit, concerned and, all that stuff? So let me know what you think.
Oh, again, I didn't really get the chance to address safety, so that's definitely a concern going into the season. But again, Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator. I'm sure he can coach Brian Cook up to be a solid safety. Other than that, my only other concern would maybe be wide receiver, just because there's question marks there. Like Kadarius Toney has never played a full NFL season. Sky Moore, it's going to be his second year in the league, and then Marquez Valdes-Scantling has got a little bit of a drop issue. But again, those guys can be really, really good sometimes. If Kadarius Toney plays 17 games, I think he's instantly one of the better receivers in the NFL. And then Sky Moore, I'm really high on second year receivers. So if he takes a step up, I mean, the receiving core is just going to be just fine. Um, the offensive line looks really good. I love that offensive line a lot. I think after like the season goes on, that could easily develop into being the best offensive line in the league. And then the defensive line, I like you got a lot of rotational guys there. Chris Jones is obviously going to be an every down player pretty much most of the time, and same with almost George Karlaftis. But Derek Nottie, Tershawn Warden, and Derek Carl, and Charles Omenihu, I think those are four good guys that you can rotate in and out. And then the cornerback room, I love it a lot. L'Jarius Sneed is one of the best slot corners in the league, in my opinion. Trent McDuffie is going to be, I think, one of the better corners in the league as well. Jalen Watson, he's got size and speed, so I like him on the outside. And then Tariq Stevenson, when he comes in, and it's another good player with size and speed. So I think this team it feels complete.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let me ask you this. Chiefs went 14-3 last year. They won the Super Bowl. I feel like we're talking about this every year. With the moves that you made, what do you think they finish, record-wise, division-wise, playoff-wise next year?
I mean, I would be silly to say anything else other than they'll win the AFC West. It's going to be their 7th year in a row that they do that if they do go out and win the AFC West. They're going to have a really tough schedule this year. They're going to play Philly. They're going to play Cincy. They're going to play all those teams. But if anyone's up to the challenge, it's Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. And I could see another 14-3, 13-4 season very easily.
Absolutely. And again, I want to stress this that, having a worse record does not necessarily mean the team's worse. I think you made moves to make this team be able to compete again for a championship. You didn't really lose much. I mean, what pieces did you lose this free agency? You lost Frank Clark and
Lost.
Orlando Brown Jr., right?
It was Orlando Brown, but we brought in Jawan Taylor. We lost Juan Thornhill, McCole Hardman, and we lost a lot of those lost some gadget guys. Juan Thornhill, I think, is going to be a huge loss for us because I think a lot of people kind of underrated him a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that I filled those needs in pretty good, other than the safety. And I think if Brian Cook goes out and he's an average safety, then I think this team is just going to be perfectly fine.
Absolutely. Again, I think Brian Cook was a last ranked safety at a last year's draft class, so I had to go back and check that. I was not a huge fan of his. But, I mean, looking at this team in general, like you said, you filled in a lot of the needs. At wide receiver, like you said, you guys lost Juju while you bring in Dante Demas. You lose Frank Clark, but you brought in Derek Hall. You lose Orlando Brown Jr., your guys signed Jawan Taylor. And not only that, but you draft Broderick Jones, plus you got Lucas Niang backing him up, or maybe even starting him over to begin the year, whatever. But again, I would be absolutely a dumb person if I was not to say that this team has a good shot at competing for another Super Bowl next season with the roster moves you made. I feel like a fair prediction is this team, with the team that you built, goes 13-4, finishes first in the AFC West, and is competing in the conference championship round. And again, if they win that game, hell, they're in the Super Bowl again. So I think that's a fair prediction there. Definitely probably making it to the conference championship if these are the moves they make. So real fast, I'm just going to flip back and forward. Your team, real life team, your team, real life team, your team, real life team. Let's go to real life team real fast. What do you think they do in the first round come Thursday?
First round, what I'm here, I think it just depends on who's available. They're connected to Zay Flowers a lot. They love Zay Flowers. But I think if he goes down the board, I think you do need to go address offensive tackle because Darren Kennard and Lucas Niang, you don't know what you're going to get out of those two. Lucas Niang, when he has played, he's been okay. He's been solid. Darian Kennard, we don't know about him yet. He hasn't played in the NFL, but the Chiefs do like him a lot. They're very high on him from what I've heard the other day. So I think the first round, we're either going to see a receiver or an offensive tackle, or maybe even an edge rusher. But I would say definitely those first two, receiver and offensive tackle.
Yeah, so give me your dream. Like, don't do something stupid. Like, again, that's going to be on the top two, but like your dream guy is who?
My dream guy, and people don't agree with me for some reason, but I really, really want Quentin Johnson in the first round.
Yeah.
Size, speed, his ability to go get the ball after the catch and just, I mean, he can score a 60-yard, 70-yard touchdown every play, and the guy's got great size. Dude does have a drop issue, but I think the Chiefs can fix that. That's a coachable thing. It also depends if they think he's a coachable player. I would say that's my dream first round pick right there.
So there you go. Hey, I like Quentin Johnson, so I'll be pounding the table for you guys to bring him in because, me and the Raiders organization right now are not getting along very well. So, all right. That's that. Now it's the moment of truth. Let's screw the Chiefs. Let's talk about your grade. Now, again, we came in here on an interim basis, okay? So, again, let's see. So, after every single grade is released, I'll have to give you a few seconds to rebut it or, say it's a fair grade and explain why. So, let's start. The trades. You didn't even participate in the trades, but we're going to give you a B+. You ultimately move up 4 spots and give up a 6th round pick in the first, you move up 4 spots in the first round and you give up a 6th round pick. To us, that's great value. B+. Again, there's very few A's handed out unless you absolutely do some crazy stuff. What do you think about the B+?
Hey, man, shout out to the guy before me. Made a great trade.
There you go. All right, next one. Draft is a B. You drafted really good players, like I said, for the most part, but overall, between trades, talent, needs, we ended up giving a B, like you mentioned, okay? You did mention that you wish you got a safety. Maybe they go and attack it in the later rounds, but ultimately, you filled in most of the needs. And again, a B is a very fair grade on our grade scale because it's very, very tough to get A's. So again, a B, what do you think about that?
Look, the Chiefs don't need to go out there and have an A+ draft. They don't need to go out there and have an A draft. They go out there and have a B draft. The Chiefs are going to walk out of there feeling A+. So I'll take a B every time.
Absolutely. And again, I want to continue to stress to all you guys again. I'll let you guys rebut this later on in the year if we get it wrong. But a B is like an extremely good grade for this. All right, talent. We feel like you got B+ in talent. You bring in, especially I'll just talk off of me, not everyone else's rankings, but Derek Hall is my 5th ranked, edge rusher. Broderick Jones probably is going to make my top 5, when it's all said and done. Dante Demas, you got in the late 4th round. I have him ranked decently high too. You got pretty dang good talent in later picks, especially you said Broderick Jones all the way in, the late 20s. What do you think about talent being a B+?
Well, I think I picked up some really talented players. A lot of these picks, I was really surprised they were still on the board. So B+ talent, I'll take it all day.
Absolutely. And last but not least, need, B. Again, and this has been one that a lot of people have been rebutting. Yeah, you filled in 97% of the needs, but the one need that you didn't fill in, again, I don't know if we're ever going to really have an A+ for needs or an A for the most part. You filled in the need, you filled in that edge rush, defensive tackle, you attacked that as well. You got the offensive tackle. You didn't bring in the safety. You brought in the corner. For the most part, you attacked every need. This is where I kind of disagree with our analyst rankings too here. But I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if I would have gone to safety, I would definitely think that grade should be up a little bit more. But I think out of every pick I made, I would say almost every one of those picks except one of them was a need.
Yeah, for sure. I agree too. So, all right. So that's that. Last but not least, you have earned 750 GM points. I don't think you have a damn idea what those are, but maybe I'll fill you in if you continue to take the lead role, the Kansas City Chiefs going into next year's free agency. You earned a final score of a 71, which ultimately ends up being a B. So again, we'll recap this now when we go back off and go on camera. So we'll see you guys in 2 seconds. All right, here we are. We are back. Not to rush you. So, all right, real fast. Usually, everyone has a Kansas City Chiefs page or a Giants page. You don't have a Chiefs page, although I'm gonna keep telling you. I think you should get one because you know what the hell you're talking about. And if you do, we'll plug it in here for sure. Let me ask you this: overall, what do you think about your grades there?
Yeah, like I said earlier, if the Chiefs walk out of there with a B draft, they're gonna walk out feeling A+. I think they don't need to go have an A draft because they have like I said in the beginning, they kind of jab that needs in the offseason. So they kind of don't need to go out there and make sure they get one guy. So a B draft, again, is an A plus for the Chiefs.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, the amount of A's that we've given out is not a lot at all. The thing is that we do need to find an actual GM for the Chiefs. So, I mean, are you going to be open for this job, or are you walking away after your interim job?
You know what? Maybe I will just have to, ink up a contract here. We'll have to.
Because because again, I mean, the GM points, I don't think you know what those are, but let me tell your fans real fast. So basically, the GM points that you earn from the draft, from attending meetings, from posting things with your social media page, which right now you don't have, like the Chiefs page, but even if you did it on your personal, whatever it is, you earn points. From the points that you earn, you get buying power in the free agency period. So remember when we do those salary cap review videos?
Yeah.
Other than me doing them, you're going to have a certain amount of GM points, and you're allowed to use them to bid for more buying power. Now, here's the thing. If the Chiefs have $2 million, you don't get more money, but you get to have first dibs on the players if you spend your GM points.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? So again, and you can, what the hell is it called? Push it, roll over. You have it roll over to next year too. So if you don't have money next year in free agency, you can roll over your GM points to the next season, and you can keep on building them and stacking them up until next thing you know, we're in the 2025 season and the Chiefs have $55 million to spend and JJ Watt's out there, and you can make that signing for your roster. So again, it's just a cool mini game within the game. And if you're interested, let's get this stamped contract signed, have you officially as a Chiefs general manager. But again, you did earn 750 points, which is a very high amount compared to some of the other GMs. So again, let me know what you think, but that's all for me. Anything else from you?
I got nothing. Let's go Chiefs, baby.
All right, let's say Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be a huge draft. Can't wait to see what happens. You might see Jake Keith on camera. Who the hell?
You just might.
We better give you a top-notch sports shirt or something to be promoting and a hat to be wearing. So when you do go on camera, we're good to go. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are Bill Better.